Ghost stories from America's most haunted houses. Now, I've not done a video like this in quite some time. I don't know why, because this kind of stuff is right up my street. Makes me think, challenges like ideas that I have, Do I believe in ghosts? Probably not. The only reason though is because I've not seen any evidence. I've not been in a situation where I thought there was a ghost in the room or in the house. But if I was, that would instantly change my, thoughts on it. And honestly, even though this is a video, if we see some stuff that's just really convincing and compelling, it might change my mind.
If the walls in old houses could tell stories, we would be shocked as to what we would hear. Many old buildings have seen much brutality and cruelty, and the emotional pain that is left must leave an imprint within. That is why when you walk into some old homes, you feel an immediate reaction, sometimes fear and sometimes sadness, and on many occasions the impact has been so strong that it has left residual hauntings where the drama that has taken place continues to repeat itself over and over again.
You know what? I guess if something horrific does happen in a house, could there be an energy still left in there, like a vibe? Potentially.
As a ghostly scar. The following are 6 real-life stories behind America's most haunted houses. Number 6. Whaley House. Construction began on the Whaley House on May 6, 1856 and was completed in 1857. However, it was not only the house that was destined to be haunted, but also the land on which it was built. The land surrounding the house was known as one of the town's most used public execution sites and was infamous for the hanging of the thief Yankee Jim Robinson. This association did not deter Thomas Whaley from buying the land in 1855 and then quickly beginning the construction of his family home on it. The house was the first brick building in California.
Mate, if I knew what happened on that land, there is no way I'm building my family house on it. I know that some of you think that's probably stupid of me, but I don't know, man. I think, I wouldn't. If there was other options, I wouldn't. Would you?
And was in the style of Greek Revival architecture. A few months after Whaley's family moved into their new home, they opened a general store inside the residence. It wasn't long after the Whaley family moved in that tragedy struck, when their youngest son of 18 months, baby Thomas, died of scarlet fever inside the house. Only a few months later, a fire began within the home which destroyed the general store, leading to the Whaley family moving to San Francisco. However, several years later in 1868, the Whaley family decided to return to the house.
What? Mate, I'm not going back. I'm not going back to that house after that. Are you?
Whaley House soon began bustling with activity and became the headquarters for the city courthouse, as well as the home of San Diego's first theatre troupe and the general store. However, this activity would not last, as local merchants began moving to a new established town of Gaslamp Quarter. Eventually, the old town was abandoned and eerily quiet, leaving the Whaley family struggling to survive.
Guys, leave.
Years later, the Whaley's 2 daughters, Anna and Violet, held their marriage ceremonies inside the house. However, the youngest daughter, Violet, was not happy, and she and her husband eventually divorced. Violet became deeply depressed and could not live with the shame, committing suicide on August the 18th, 1885. Descendants from the Whaley family have lived and died in the home over many years. This progression of inhabitants had sparked many strange and mysterious sounds, sights, aromas, and encounters for both workers there and visitors. One early encounter was that of the executed Yankee Jim Robinson, who's believed to have been haunting the Whaley house members throughout their lifetimes. Many family members stated hearing the deceased criminal making eerie noises and loud footsteps and leaving disembodied footprints. Some could even hear baby Thomas's ghost with sounds of him crying and giggling when no one was in sight. Others report seeing Violet still lingering on the second floor whilst feeling cold with her presence felt throughout the home. To the present day, no one has lived in the home since 1953, and the house is now a tourist attraction.
Mate.
Many visitors have seen the father, Thomas, dressed in a frock coat and top hat, standing at the top of the stairs, or smelt the fragrance of French perfume and a signature scent. Other reports include mist, lights turning on and off on their own, and crystals in the music room lamp.
Man, I'm not sure if I'm going in there. Look, I know that, you know, a lot of homes have had horrible things happen in them. And, you know, if you don't know it happened, you're going to live there anyway. But if I knew that executions were happening, you know, on this land, like thousands of people potentially have been, you know, if I know that, if I have that information, I'm not building a house on that. Are you?
Swinging without any prompt. Number 5, Franklin Castle.
I'm not even sure if I would go in there. Like, I know I've just said I don't believe in ghosts, but man, all these things happened in there. Are you going in there? Maybe I'd go in there just to see if I felt anything.
Built in the 1800s by banker Hans Tiedemann, this Victorian home has been called the most haunted house in Ohio. Even though Tiedemann's life was one of wealth and privilege, it was also tragic, with a number of his family members having died in the Franklin Castle. They included his mother, a 15-year-old daughter, and 3 other children who died in infancy. The Franklin Castle was built with elaborate turrets and prominent gargoyles, and large numbers of rooms were added in an attempt to distract Tiedemann's wife from thoughts of her deceased children until her sudden passing. Distraught, Tiedemann sold the property, and the Franklin Castle spent decades as a German cultural centre. However, strangely enough, it wasn't until the 1960s when hauntings started to be reported. These included sounds of babies crying, along with sightings of a mysterious woman in a bizarre mist. It was much later, in 1975, that human bones were discovered in a closet.
Ugh.
As years go by, the tales of Franklin Castle have grown more elaborate. In 1999, a fire swept through the 150-year-old house with an estimated damage of $200,000. It has since lain abandoned for several years before being purchased in 2011. Number 4.
Gosh, man. Maybe it's best if these houses, I know that they're tourist attractions, but maybe just demolish them. I don't know. Like, if all these things keep happening there and it's just got all these like bad energy, like vibes in there, why keep them standing? But I suppose some of you are probably saying the history of the place. Yeah, maybe.
LaLaurie House. The LaLaurie House Mansion is located in New Orleans and was known as one of the most haunted places in the French Quarter. During 1832, Dr. Louis LaLaurie and his wife Delphine moved into their Creole mansion there. The family was renowned for its social affairs and wealth, and Madame LaLaurie and her daughters became influential French Creole figures in the city with their immense style. The family would hold regular grand events at their 3-story mansion, and the guests could not stop talking about how intelligent and beautiful Madame LaLaurie was. However, beneath her refined exterior, Madame LaLaurie was a cold-blooded, cruel and insane person.
Oh God.
The LaLaurie house was maintained by dozens of slaves, and Madame LaLaurie became known for her monstrous behaviour towards them. She had her cook chained to the fireplace where she prepared the food and treated the other slaves lesser than animals. Neighbours of the LaLaurie house began suspecting the worst after hearing whispers of disappearing maids and workers on the property. One neighbour saw Madame LaLaurie chasing a little girl. Madame's personal servant onto the roof of the house with a whip before the child jumped to her death.
Oh my God.
She was later found buried in a shallow grave. After a law which prohibited the cruel treatment of slaves was passed and in effect in New Orleans, the authorities impounded the LaLaurie slaves. However, Madame LaLaurie coaxed some relatives into buying them back for her in secret. Stories began circulating about the LaLaurie's mistreatment, and the once popular family members were now avoided.
It just sickens me that, this happened. Like, it's actually insane that this actually happened, that people were treated like that and owned. It's just, it's crazy. It's crazy.
In 1834, a terrible fire, which some believe may have been started by the cook, broke out in the kitchen and swept through the house. After firefighters took out the blaze, they discovered a horrible secret in a locked room located in the attic. Dozens of slaves were found, many of them caged, along with a collection of whips and paddles. Madame LaLaurie and her family were never seen again. Stories of ghosts and hauntings soon began circulating after the horrific discovery, and many recent visitors to the house claimed to have seen some of the slaves, along with strange sounds and events. The home was once turned into a saloon, with many patrons claiming to have had encounters with the unknown phenomena. Today the house has been renovated and restored into luxury apartments for the rich.
Mate, there's no chance I would buy a house or an apartment in that building. What? Knowing what happened there? There's no way. Luxury apartments? No thanks.
Apparently, the building isn't as haunted as it was 100 years ago. However, I wouldn't wish to spend the night there.
Yeah, me neither.
Number 3. Buckner Mansion. Located in New Orleans, the Buckner Mansion was built in 1856 by cotton kingpin Henry Sullivan Buckner. Buckner wanted to build a house on Jackson Avenue that would be bigger and more grand than the home of his ex-business partner and rival. The mansion exceeded Buckner's expectations and was designed with 48 fluted columns and a unique cast iron fence, which was unusual at the time and adorned with an intricate honeysuckle design. The mansion served as home to the Buckner family until 1923 and is another haunted house that is allegedly haunted by the ghosts of slaves, like the LaLaurie house. One ghost in particular who stands out is that of Miss Josephine, who lived at the house during the Civil War. Many say she still roamed the mansion after her death, and over the years, guests to the mansion have claimed to hear her sweeping and the inexplicable smell of lemon. Her ghost has also appeared on the stairs. Other strange poltergeist activity has also occurred at Buckner Mansion, such as lights turning on and off, doors opening and closing all on their own, and chandeliers being seen to swing on their own for over an hour.
Wow.
More recently, the mansion has featured in the television show American Horror Story, Coven. Number 2. Lemp.
Man. The buildings on this list so far, would you go in? Would you go in? Have you been in there? Like, have you been in any of these buildings and did you feel anything? Like, and have you felt, like, have you been in the presence of a ghost, do you think? Do you feel like you've been haunted? Like, can you describe it? Like, what was it like? Did you feel anything sort of touching you? Did you just feel like there was someone else in the room? Like, what was it like?
Mansion. In 1876, William Lemp, owner of the Western Brewery, bought a mansion in St. Louis, Missouri, and began renovating it in a grand style. Eventually, William and his wife, Julia, moved into the lavish home. Between the years of 1862 and 1883, the couple had 9 children. However, one of the children died in infancy. The family was cursed with many suicides and deaths in the mansion, and it soon became a place of legends. One local legend started circulating in the town of an illegitimate son, known only as the Monkey Face Boy, who had been born with Down syndrome,
Oh no.
being hidden away in the attic. Tales have emerged of the boy's spirit haunting the Lemp Mansion. However, no records exist of the claims. In 1975, the mansion was in a state of deterioration and was bought by Richard Poynter, who converted it into a restaurant. While restoring the mansion, Poynter has experienced many unexplainable occurrences. He states, "I was painting the bathroom by myself. There was no one else in the house, and I felt someone behind me, watching me. I mean, it was a terrible feeling, the most burning sensation you could have. I get goosebumps just now thinking about it. I turned around and nothing was there. I started working again and got the same feeling. So without looking behind me, I cleaned my paintbrushes and got the hell out of there."
Yeah, that's what I do as well. I feel like, mate, I'm not painting this room, I'm getting someone else to do it.
Many employees of the mansion have also encountered unknown phenomena. Poynter's son was closing the restaurant one night with an employee when they heard two keys playing on the piano in another room. However, when they went in search of the source, they found every room in the house to be completely empty. Disembodied voices, the clip-clop of phantom horses' hooves, objects moving on their own, and strange shadows have also been witnessed inside the mansion with no explanation. Number 1. Myrtles Plantation.
Man, I mean, these do sound, they don't sound completely unbelievable, do they? They sound like, knowing the horrible histories of these buildings, it does sound like, a place that if there were ghosts, they would probably be like in these buildings. So it does make me think I'm not quite as like skeptical and dismissive of it as I was like at the start of the video. It does sound a bit more like believable. Like any of you guys that were like skeptic like me at the start, are you starting to believe in it a bit more, like, or not really?
Built in 1796, the Myrtles Plantation is the oldest haunted house on this video. Located in Louisiana, the Myrtles Plantation is known for its dark past, which includes at least one murder. Rumoured to be built on top of a Tunica Indian burial ground, many photos have been taken of ghosts and spirits in its grounds. The plantation was purchased after the Civil War by William Winter, who was an attorney. One of the most famous haunted pictures of the Myrtle Plantation was snapped by tourists and shows a grim-faced girl lurking behind a window, dressed in antebellum clothing. Another photo was said to show a slave named Chloe, who was known to have died on the plantation. The young woman was worried she would lose her job inside the house, so she decided to poison the judge's daughters. However, instead of making them slightly ill, her plan backfired and the girls died. The other slaves working the plantation feared they would be blamed for the murders, so they hanged Chloe and threw her body into the river.
Oh my God.
In 1992, a photo of the plantation emerged, which some say shows an image of Chloe.
But the thing is, these photos could be so easily photoshopped these days. It would be so, there's no way to prove this is real.
The London Society for Psychical Research reportedly declared the photo authentic. However, that wasn't the only murder to take place at the house. The owner, William Winter, was shot by an unknown stranger. Still alive, William dragged himself inside and up the stairs before dying on the 17th step.
Oh my God.
Some visitors to the plantation report hearing his shuffling footsteps. The Myrtles Plantation is home to countless ghost sightings and supernatural phenomena. Reports include a chandelier that shakes and rattles, beds that levitate, and portraits whose expressions change.
Oh my God, I've got the heebie-jeebies. Like, that was creepy. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely less skeptical after watching this than I was at the start. Not that I 100% believe in ghosts, but maybe, if horrific things happened in a building, the energy of that event can linger in that building. Don't know whether you'd describe it as a ghost. I'd probably maybe you walk in and there's like a feeling that just comes over you. I can imagine that. But then I suppose you could also argue that that's just like placebo. That the thing happened in this building, so it's like your brain is just kind of making you think making you feel how you think you're going to feel, if you know what I mean. Maybe it's more placebo. I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.